Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for March of 2026. You start with this Choose a Path card. It says there are many paths before you, but you may only choose one. You have this healing energy. It says you're in the process of healing, eliminating any bad energy from your life, which is good. Your first row is going to represent what cycle is ending for you at this time. We're in between eclipses. The next eclipse is March 3rd, and even after the eclipse, we end cycles. So that's why the first row represents that. It is probably a good thing that you have the tower in this row, because obviously the tower would be a good cycle to end. On top of that, everybody has had, almost everybody has had the tower, I should say. Everybody has had the Eight of Pentacles, which is interesting as well. Not necessarily in this first row, but in their reading. So you have the Tower, Eight of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. You also have this healing energy card, which says eliminating any bad energy from your life. This next eclipse is in Virgo, March 3rd, and Virgo eclipses are great for just healing in general. And so, and look at this, you end with the Star, which is great. That is also healing, and we want the Star to show up after the Tower in a reading, because it kind of cancels out that star or that tower energy. So the tower can represent ending, again, we're asking what cycle you are ending in this row, and the tower can represent a cycle of tower moments. I think for Sagittarius, it's just like you've just been through a lot of changes in a very short period of time, maybe over the last few years. And the tower is about accepting reality for what it is. But again, I do feel, I don't really want to say things are slowing down for Sagittarius, because that's not true. If anything, I think things are going to speed up significantly in your life. But I do feel the kind of like the sudden change energy, the changes that come out of nowhere that kind of shake up your foundation, like the tower. That's what's changing, or that is the cycle that's ending at this time. Again, we have Uranus entering into Gemini, as I always talk to you about, because it's your opposite sign. And so that Uranus and Gemini, definitely a lot of changes happening very quickly. But, like I said, I think the crazy changes are changing. You have the Eight of Pentacles. For whatever reason, everybody this month has had the Eight of Pentacles. I do like the Eight of Pentacles. It's material success on the horizon, basically more money coming in the future. Eight of Pentacles is also just a really good card right now, because we have Saturn and Aries. And Saturn and Aries wants us to work on one thing and finish it. That's basically what he's doing on the Eight of Pentacles. He's working on one project, and he's almost done. He just has one more pentacle to complete. So, again, it's really good for the energy right now. But the card itself can also say that if you have been working on something for a long time, that you're finally, getting a result, or you're finally bringing it to an end, which could be very good for you at this time. You have the Knight of Swords. Knight of Swords can be rushing, moving forward. Again, I don't mind the Knight of Swords this month of March. We have a Mercury retrograde. Pretty much the entire month. The Mercury retrograde starts on February 26th, and it goes until March 20th. But we'll be in the shadow and for the whole month of March. When it ends, I'm talking about after the 20th. So pretty much the entire month. The Knight of Swords can be rushing and moving too quickly. And so, again, we're asking what cycle is coming to an end here. And so I think for a lot of you, anything that you feel like you rushed on, or if you made decisions too quickly, I don't really think you're correcting anything. It's not like you're going to be able to, go back in time and correct something that you missed out on, or maybe you made a decision you regret or whatever. But I do feel that you are kind of correcting it moving forward. So it's like saying you're just not going to make those decisions again. And so I don't know, is that really fixing it? Kind of, because it's like you've learned from your mistakes is kind of what this card is saying to me. And it's also saying you're not going to make the same mistakes in the future, which I guess is a good thing. But let's see what's going on for you here, Sag. With the Tower, you have the Three of Cups. A lot of your issues over the past couple of years have been with people. We've talked about this many times, Sagittarius. And so, I think anyone, some of you maybe have had a specific person that causes issues. For other Sagittarius people, I think it's family. The best example I can give you, Sagittarius, is if you have let someone back into your life, especially family. If someone makes a lot of mistakes and causes a lot of issues in the family, you let that person back in, you give them another chance, they probably disappointed you again. Again, I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but some of you could have had similar experiences. it could have been with friends or family or, people that you know. And again, I think you have learned from your mistakes now, and it's like I don't even think you're cutting people out. I just feel you're drawing boundaries, or you're sticking to your decisions, basically, like realizing that adults aren't children. And so it's like, how many chances do you have to give an adult? Well, really, the answer should be one chance, right? Adults know when they're doing something wrong. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm a hard ass Sagittarius, but I think one chance is enough. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have Lovers. Yeah, everybody's getting love in these readings. Everybody has. The last eclipse that we had with Aquarius was conjunct Venus. So really good time for love. And again, eclipse energy can last for like 6 months. So, pretty much the next 6 months are pretty good for people who want love. And so if you want love, putting in the work with the Eight of Pentacles would be a good idea. Getting out of the house, dating. I think one of the best things we can do, like for those of you that do want love, I think one of the best things we can do is be different. I know that sounds obvious, but, like everybody is the same. So I don't know if any of you have been dating lately, but, pretty much everybody is the same. So being different and also looking in different places. It's like, I think now that the energy has changed, maybe since like 2016, that was kind of like the rise of online dating, right? And now I think people have realized that if you want to meet a person, it's better to like meet a person who actually does things in public. So, I've talked about this before, but, meeting people in like classes, the gym, the store, getting out of the house, that type of stuff, very good. With the Knight of Swords, you have the Queen of Swords. Yeah, like I said, clarity on your mistakes, on your past mistakes. So, really, I think this is all we can ever ask for, right? It's like we're here to make mistakes. That's the whole point of life, is we have to learn. And mistakes teach us the most. So it's not about not making mistakes. It's about, seeing clearly what went wrong and not doing it again in the future. She has her back to the past. The whole point of the Queen of Swords, when we have her this way, again, she has her back to the past. And she's open to future opportunities. So I think a lot of you are you've learned, is basically what the first row is saying. Next, we're going to look at if there's anything fated coming in for you at this time. Again, eclipses bring in fated energy. You have this get lost. It says fall deep into the realm of imagination. You have this let it go, the whole first row. It says let go of all that no longer serves you. Yes. Anything that no longer serves you would be good to let go of. I do think we are in a time where we have to like let go of those comfort blankets, those things that we have in life that we think provide us comfort that don't. Now, again, if you do have something that legitimately does provide you with comfort, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But if there are things that you're holding on to because of comfort, then that's a whole different story. And so, it's like if you're holding on to a relationship and the person isn't giving you the time of day, it's like, I consider those things to be like negative comfort zones where it's like you can be in a relationship with a person. Maybe they provide some form of fulfillment, like maybe they talk to you, for example, but maybe that's it. Maybe they don't provide anything else that you also want. I think that's how we get stuck in a negative comfort zone, basically. Same thing with like if things aren't growing. We're in a time of growth, and again, this isn't about materialism. But if you are, if you have a job, for example, and if you have not received a raise in the last 20 years, right, that might be a negative comfort zone because it's comfortable because it's like you have something, but it's also uncomfortable because obviously everything is about 1,000,000 times more expensive because they're trying to collapse the economy or something. I don't know. But whatever it is, right? And so those are the types of things I would be looking out for here. And those are the things I would be changing if I were you. You have the moon, the Four Wands, and the Chariot. I think you're imagining better. You have that card. It says, get lost, Sagittarius. Fall into the realm of imagination. The moon can be fears, fantasies, illusions, but it's not all bad. The moon can be a dream that we have that's above our heads that we have to bring down to earth, right? And so it's like you're imagining or dreaming of things being better, but now it's time to like go down that path. I think part of the problem also with the astrology right now is like emotions. I think that the moon kind of, the fool has to be emotionally vulnerable to go down this path and to claim his crown or to have his victory. There's mountains at the back here, and those mountains are like a win or a victory that he could have in his life. But this path might hurt him. He might get hurt. right? We all have to take that risk. And so in love and business and everything we do, there is a potential that the opportunity doesn't actually work, right? And that's that's what he has to open up to, the potential for things to go south. Even though maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's, the moon is about the journey, not the destination. And I feel like some of you could be taking that type of risk right now, where it's like you're thinking about probably committing to something new in your life, whether it's a new adventure, a new opportunity, a new person, whatever. And it's like you have to cross that finish line. Four of Wands is my finish line card. There is a finish line right here. And these people are celebrating on the other side of the card. A lot of people say that the Four of Wands is a card of marriage, which is kind of true, but these people have already been married. So it's kind of like after the process. And, we have to cross through this threshold and go and celebrate with those people on the other side. The Four of Wands is really a card of freedom and setting yourself free and being free enough to go have a celebration. But we have to, again, cross through the portal on the card. So, what the card says is we have to commit to one thing, see it through, to get through the portal to have the celebration. And so I feel like this is about you making a full commitment to a path. Again, you had a path card here. It said choose your path, right? Choose a path and stick to it. That is the trick with the moon, is that we can't get distracted with the moon. We have to see whatever we're thinking about doing, we have to see it through to the end. You have the Chariot, which is a victory. The Chariot is about setting yourself apart. Again, if I were Sagittarius or Gemini, my motto would be sticking out like a sore thumb, right? I think the two of you have the best opportunity to really stand out for being unique or being different. It's like nothing, nothing familiar. Not that familiar things are going to be bad or anything, Sagittarius, but I think to like really make an impact, to really make a difference over the next many years, it's going to require you to like go your own way, to stand out, to be unique, to be different, to have a different opinion than everybody else, right? So it's like I think the scary things, not that they're really scary, but, speaking up at work, speaking up in your relationship, it's like we have to look at maybe those areas of life where we get in trouble. Not like real trouble, but it's like, I don't know, just think back to any of your relationships that didn't work out. It's like there were probably things that you wanted to say much earlier or much sooner than you did, right? But we hold back in those moments because we're afraid, if I tell this person I don't like this thing that they're doing, then they're going to leave. And it's like, well, they ended up leaving anyway, right? So we are in a time where we have to be more brave. It's about like just realizing that, the things that we want to speak up about, it's like if they're going to lead to a negative outcome, the negative outcome was going to happen anyway in the first place. Like there's nothing to fear at this time, even though we could be feeling fear for sure. With the moon, we have the Eight of Cups, which is about walking away from things that no longer serve you. It's the only card in the tarot with an eclipse on it right here. So definitely could be cutting something out of your life. Again, he is walking away from something. It's funny, I was talking about the comfort blankets, right? Because these 8 cups, they do provide him with something. He is getting something out of it, but he just knows he would be settling. All your readings in 2025, where you specifically were getting these readings about not settling, right? Like you are the only sign. With the Four of Wands, you have the Four of Pentacles. Again, he's holding on too tightly to the past. It's funny that we have these two cards, the Chariot and the Four of Pentacles, because on the Four of Pentacles, he has the city behind him. On the Chariot, he's leaving the city behind him behind. He is going his own way. He is choosing to step off onto a path that could be unique. Like, again, everybody in the city is exactly the same. They all do the same stuff. And so people in your life might be saying, like, you're crazy for picking this new path or whatever. But, again, I think it's time for you to set yourself apart. With the Chariot, yes, you have the Judgment card. Judgment changes the Tower because Judgment and Tower, this is the most powerful combination in the tarot. It can represent a major wake-up call, a major revelation, a light bulb moment. The Star can be a light bulb moment as well. So some of you could be having like a sudden epiphany this month. And by the way, Mercury retrograde can absolutely bring in like epiphanies. If we are processing information from the past, we can have a sudden insight that provides like a better direction. Next, we're going to look at, where you have the best control this month. You have this be true to who you are. Yes. It says fear will not stop you from shining. Yes. I literally have been saying that the whole time. You have the Seek Guidance card. It says, it is time for a different perspective. Yes, everything different is good for you here, Sagittarius. Definitely time to shine for your uniqueness and all that other good stuff. And, again, I think you have an opportunity here to, like, surprise yourself. You might speak up and draw a boundary in a relationship. Doesn't even have to be love. Could be a work relationship or something else. And, maybe the person has a positive response, right? In love, if a person respects your boundaries, probably found a good person. Right? In business, if someone respects your boundaries, well, they'll probably respect you more for sticking up for your boundaries. So, a lot of this stuff here is personal. You have the Nine of Pentacles, the Eight of Swords, and the High Priestess. Nine of Pentacles, like pre-Empress energy, very good for abundance and creating more abundance. And this is a card of gratitude, and it's about maintaining your independence, just like that card says. It says it's time. Where did it say it? Where did I see that? Am I making that up in my head here, Sag, or something? I thought I saw something that said something about, be true to who you are. That's what I was looking for. Nine of Pentacles. She is just herself. That's it. She doesn't try to put on airs for other people or any of that. She really only cares about herself. She has 6 pentacles over here, 3 over here. She keeps more than enough energy for herself, and she's willing to give 3 pentacles, which could be, doesn't have to be pentacles, doesn't have to be money. That could be time, effort, attention, energy, whatever. And she only gives just a little bit. And so I think that this month, it would be a good month to, maintain your independence and stick up for yourself. You have the Eight of Swords. If you have been stuck in anything, if anything has been keeping you stuck, the Eight of Swords is great in this position to set yourself free. The problem with this card is she's only looking at one way of doing things when there are many. And so the Eight of Swords, all we have to do is open up to other solutions and we will be perfectly fine. You have the High Priestess. High Priestess wants you to trust your intuition, of course. High Priestess is a card of unlimited potential. She has no roof over her head, and so there are no limits to what she can accomplish. If she can set her mind to it, she can accomplish it. And, I would definitely work on expanding your potential. Again, you're entering into an expansive time. Later on as well, when Jupiter's going to move into Leo this year, and so even though obviously you're not Leo, it's still going to trine your sign and will still be very good for expansion. And I don't know, that's popping into my head with the High Priestess, like, you could be getting a lot of intuitive downloads, especially in April, starting in April when Uranus goes back into Gemini. And by the way, this can start now. So yes, I understand that we are in the month of March or about to be, but doesn't matter. You can start using this energy now, and I would. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Ace of Wands. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this. This is definitely like a light bulb moment. The Ace of Wands is a spark. It's like a spark of inspiration. This card can represent hope as well, kind of like the Star card. So the Ace of Wands can just be that spark of hope or inspiration that we need to get motivated to, like, know what to do in life. And so I feel a lot of you could be having a spark this month. Tower, Judgment, Star, this card, looks pretty good. With the Eight of Swords, you have the Ace of Cups. A lot of aces in these readings as well, I've noticed. You have 2 aces, Ace of Cups and Ace of Pentacles. You have 3 aces. I totally forgot about the Ace of Wands. So it makes perfect sense. I said in the 2026 readings that I felt like this year starts in March, so kind of makes sense. Aces are a new beginning or starting something new, so I feel there could be like a solid new beginning coming in for you. Also really good for love. Like I said, amazing year for love with the conjunction to the first eclipse. So if you want love, this could be you finding something that, like a person who really respects you. The word respect popped into my head earlier, and maybe that's really important to you at this time. With the High Priestess, you have the King of Cups. Could be a water sign, doesn't have to be. Could be any sign. Could be a person who's just like very intuitive as well if you're looking for love. Like I said, this month I feel is like emotional for some reason. A lot of people had stuff about emotions. You have a lot of stuff about emotions here. And the King of Cups has very deep emotions, but the trick with the King of Cups is to use them. He uses his emotions constructively. So he feels an emotion and he uses it. And that's what I would be doing with the King of Cups. Next, we're going to look at the good stuff here. You have this routine card. It says daily tasks, patterns, plans, consistent, predictable, unchanging, fixed, rigid, accustomed, uninterrupted, and steady. You have a sudden wealth. It says big financial gains, winnings, monetary gift, financial success, inheritance, inner and outer wealth. Yes, with the Nine of Pentacles, you definitely could be focused on, building wealth or doing things that increase your wealth. I feel like this time is a good time to work on a routine. I've said this a lot, and maybe I've said it to you as well, Sagittarius, but I do think it's a good year to work on your daily routine or the things that you're working on. I think it's a good time to add something simple to your routine as well. Simple improvements is kind of like the time that we're in. I think mostly because Saturn's in Aries. I always tell people it's you can choose what to change, or you can let the universe do it for you. And usually we should be the ones that do it. You don't want the universe to make up your mind for you, right? So I always tell people it's it might sound silly, but if you're trying to improve your health, it's even just saying I'm going to go for a 15-minute walk every single day. That doesn't sound like much, but Saturn doesn't care. Saturn's well, they said they would do it every day, and now they're doing it every day. So here's a result, right? So we don't have to do much with Saturn. We just have to work a little bit with it. And if we do, then good things will happen. You have the Star, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Six of Cups. The Star can, of course, represent hope, faith, renewal, blessings. It can kind of cancel out the Tower, so that's good. I feel that the Star could also be about you having a big goal. The Star is about having a North Star goal, having that one thing that you really want to accomplish in life, and then setting out and accomplishing it. You have the Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles can be a really solid opportunity coming in for you. And I would be paying attention to any new opportunities. We kind of are in a time of opportunity, and but these are going to be upgrades. So if there's an opportunity to upgrade something in your life, I would do it. With Uranus and Gemini, Saturn, Neptune and Aries, actually, and Pluto and Aquarius, I think a lot about technology in general. And so if there are, if you have a business, a career, if there are any technology upgrades you can make, now is, well, buying things, maybe not such a great month to buy something new because obviously Mercury retrograde, but learning about it would be very good, right? Although I always tell people, for the first 5 years of this channel, I was recording my videos on a MacBook that I bought during a retrograde, and I had that computer for 8 years. So there's really nothing wrong with purchasing technology during a retrograde if you do your research, if you really make sure, right? Obviously, if you buy something and if it comes with a warranty, great, right? So if you're doing that, then you really won't have a problem. But, if you're learning anything new, I think it could be very abundant for you. You have the Six of Cups. A lot of people have had stuff about childlike energy, being more playful this month, actually for the past several months, really. So, being more playful, having more fun, good idea with the Six of Cups. With the Star, you have the Moon again. So this is pretty good because this could say you're getting clarity on what path, and we had that pick your path card or whatever it said, choose your path. And, the path you need to be on could be much more clear for you. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the Seven of Wands. More commitment. Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It kind of is commitment. It says that when you know that you know, and when you truly believe deep down inside that something is going to work, then it will work for you, whatever it is. And so if you're looking at a new opportunity, I think that you have to commit to those opportunities. Even the Star, she is kind of just dipping her toes in the water. But with the Star, I always say we have to go all the way into that pool. So if you're going to accept an opportunity, commit. With the Six of Cups, you have the Magician. Sorry, I wanted to put it here. So I always pull the card the Magician is pointing to, which is this card. It says, write a letter. It says, write a letter to your inner child. I literally said inner child on the Six of Cups. So yes, maybe it would be a good time to communicate with your inner child, or to think about how your life could be more playful. The Magician is also great for manifestation, so you could be manifesting quite a bit here, Sag, this month. You have this mountain road. It says you're on the road to success. It's maybe you're on the right path. You just have to see it through to the end to get that success. You have this tower, which is different than that tower. It says solid foundation, success with effort. With the tower card in the tarot, the tower always gets reduced down to its foundation. So you could be kind of like building a new foundation for security. You have this key. It says successful outcome to your problems, which is great. Definitely tower to star in a reading could just represent a successful outcome to some sort of issue. So that's nice. You have this bow. It says you are highly thought of. Yes, good time for attention, especially with the star and the 9 of Pentacles. So, if you're trying to stand out, again, you're going to stand out for your uniqueness, not by being like everybody else. So, that's how you can stand out. You have this bullet that says, do not back down from opposition, show strength and fortitude. Yes, definitely. I think this is about sticking up for yourself. We were talking about boundaries. You have the 7 of Wands. It says, like, if a boundary is crossed, correct it right away. Don't let those things build up. But this looks pretty good, Sag. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.